Hey BookTube, Chelsea, the Reading Outlaw, here to do my November TBR for you guys. I'm super excited about November because November is my birthday month, and who doesn't get excited in their birthday month? Plus, it's the month that fall really kicks off. I mean, I know like technically fall has already started, but in my opinion, fall doesn't really start to reach its stride till about November. Plus, here in America, we have Thanksgiving, and it means it's only like a month, well, not November in general, but Thanksgiving specifically means it's only like a month until Christmas. And so lots of good, positive things happening in the month of November. So I'm really excited for my TBR. This video will probably be a little shorter. You can see 3 of my November TBR books in my Monday update, which I will link to down below. They are The Just City by Jo Walton, The Lies of Loch Lamora by Scott Lynch, and In Order to Live by Eumene Park. Those are 3 of the books that I'm reading, but since I made that video, they are either at work or in my car, and I can't be bothered to go to my car. So other than those books, there are a couple things that I'm finishing this month. I will start with the stuff that I don't have. The first one is The Restaurant at the End of the Universe by Douglas Adams. This is the second book in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy trilogy. It's not a trilogy, so I guess series. And I'm really excited. I've already started this one. It's okay. Kind of like the first one. It's really good. I enjoy it. It makes me laugh, but I don't necessarily have a lot to say about it. It's just very like cleverly written, kind of absurdist humor. But yeah, I'm really enjoying just kind of reading through that as like a side book when some of my other books get to be too much or I don't really know what I want to read and I get a little flustered. That's kind of my go-to book for that. This month I will also be finishing up The Art of Asking on audiobook by Amanda Palmer. I know you guys heard me talking about this a little bit ago, like all the time, and unfortunately my library checkout of it came due, and then I thought I would be like super smart and just like put a copy on hold before I even lost my first copy so that when I had to discharge my first copy, the hold would be there and I would get it back like right away. And that didn't happen. So it took me a couple weeks to get it back. Now I have it back, so I'm going to finish up the last half and I'm really excited. I really like what I've heard in the first half, and so I'm really excited to see if the second half holds up, which I'm sure it does. I don't have any reason to think that it wouldn't. Also this month, I'm hoping to be able to finish Words of Radiance on audio. We shall see. I'm about 500 pages in, so I'm about halfway done. Pretty decent for a 1,000-page book, but it's also an audiobook, so even at 2 speed, it's going to take me a minute, especially if I'm trying to balance it with other audiobooks. So I'm hoping that all of that happens. That's kind of the digitally / not physically here stuff. So let's talk about the stuff that I do have. I have 2 huge books and 2 reasonably sized books. So between these 4, the 3 I want to get through digitally and the 3 I talked about on Monday, that's a 10-book TBR. Feel like that's reasonably manageable, although you may disagree with me once you see the books. So the first one is Tower Lord by Anthony Ryan. This is the sequel to Blood Song by Anthony Ryan that I read over the summer, I think it was. Late spring, early summer, and I'm finally getting around to reading the sequel. I'm reading this as a buddy read with Connor. He is a little bit further ahead at the moment than I am, but I am really enjoying this one. I'm actually liking this one a little bit more than the first one, which I know might surprise some people, because from what I've heard, the general consensus is that the first one is better, but I like this one. There's definitely some parts that are a little slow and do kind of that slow build to a big plot kind of thing, but I like all the characters that we're following. We're following Valen, who is our main character from the first story again, and now he has returned and he has become Tower Lord in the Northern Reaches, and so it's about him and his story to become that. It's also about several other people who are trying to track him down. My favorite character is probably Riva. She is this like orphan raised by this corrupt priest who's trying to get to Valen for a specific reason, and she's like a lesbian, but she's having really hardcore like homophobic thoughts about herself because of her upbringing, so there's a lot of struggle with that. This book does I really just enjoy her character. This story does some really cool things with gender and sexuality. There's a tribe of like all warrior women who are basically like the kind of like the Amazons, but not at all. Kind of like if the Amazons were like a tribe of Vikings, but all ladies. So It's really interesting. It's doing a lot of really interesting things with gender. It's one of those books where I have a feeling my final star rating will kind of depend on how the big events that it's leading up to actually end up playing out. But I'm enjoying it so far. It's a little bit of a chunker. And hopefully I can finish this up within the next week or two so that I can move on to... Dun, 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 dun. I can't even believe I'm holding this book up for you guys. Memories of Ice by Steven Erikson. Look at that, baby. Look at that. It is... Let's see if we can find out. Not counting like the appendices and glossaries and stuff, 775 pages. Holy shit, you guys. It is huge. This is the next book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. This is the third book. I've been told by several people that if at the end of this book I'm not into it or still having doubts about it, that the series probably isn't for me. This is one of those series that takes about 3 books to really kind of hit its stride. So we shall see. I am digging... Look at this, like, wolf man on the cover with his, like, bloody sword, and he's standing on bloody ruins, and pretty sure that's Stephen King's The Dome in the background. Just kidding, it's not. It's not. I know it's not, but still, it looks like it could be. So, yeah, I'm really, really not necessarily excited to start this one, but I feel like I kind of need to start it if I'm going to keep up with any kind of recollection from what happened in Dead House Gates. I also really kind of want to see if this is actually going to be a series for me. So I'm looking forward to opening up this one and kind of seeing what lies beneath, as they say. And then if I've managed to finish those 2 or alongside those 2 big old chunkers, I have a couple of smaller books that I'm really excited to get to. The first one is Dumplin' by Julie Murphy. This is a young adult book that is basically super full of body positivity. The little blur, like you can see on the back, there's this little girl and she's in like an old 1950s polka dot swimsuit, and it said, there's something about swimsuits that make you think you've got to earn the right to wear them. Really, the criteria is simple. Do you have a body? Put a swimsuit on it. And I fucking love that. That's like my personal life philosophy. So basically, I'm actually not even entirely sure what happened. Let's see. Oh, cool. Yeah, see what happens when you're the inside flap, guys? Basically, it sounds like Julie Dumplin Murphy is a slightly bigger girl who has no problem with her body and her life until she meets a hot jock and she likes him and he kind of likes her back. And that's kind of surprising for her. She doesn't really know what to do with that. So then hijinks ensue, I'm assuming, as they kind of pursue a relationship together. But I have heard so many good things about Dumplin', and as a bigger girl myself and as a girl who's absolutely in favor of all forms of body positivity, I'm really excited to get to. It's a tiny little YA book, and God, look at that cover. Just look at her. Just look at it. Man, I wish we could all be Dumpling. I also hate that you can see the glare of my phone. But what are you going to do? And then if I finish that one, or when I finish that one, this is like a book. This is like my birthday present to myself book, like an adorable little, treat, little ice cream sundae at the end of everything. Not that the rest of these books aren't going to be awesome, because they are, but this one especially is going to be, I'm super excited to get back to the world of Gail Carriger. This is Heartless. This is the 4th book in the Parasol Protectorate. It's kind of hard to explain about what's actually happened so far because we're up to the 4th book. But in general, the Parasol Protectorate series is about Alexa Terabati. Alexia is a soulless, which means that when she physically touches a supernatural creature, they lose their supernatural aspect. So vampires lose their fangs, werewolves lose their wolfiness, ghosts are exorcised, basically. And she lives in a steampunk Victorian London where all 3 of those supernatural creatures exist and are running around. By the 4th book, she's had some pretty heavy adventures with her husband, Lord Connell Macon, who is a werewolf, and so like things are happening all over the place. This book is incredible. These books are incredibly clever and incredibly well written, and it's been too long since I've read one, and so I'm going to pick up Heartless at the end of the month as long as everything goes to plan. So that is basically the end of my November TBR. Like I said, it's got about 10 books on it. Some are big, some are not. There's a few nonfiction in there. I feel like it's a decent spread for the month. If you guys have any thoughts on anything that I've showed you or mentioned, please feel free to leave them down below. Otherwise, comment, subscribe, check me out other places on the internet. I'm all around. All the social media is down below. And I hope you guys are all having a really brilliant Friday. Bye, guys.